Welcome to The Aspiring Kryptonians, a podcast for Superman fans, hosted by Superman fans and focused around all things, you guessed it, Superman. After all, we are aspiring Kryptonians. From comics, TV, film and animation, each week we discuss our thoughts on the latest releases, news and even some retrospective reviews. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Okay. So hello and welcome to episode 14 of the Aspiring Kryptonians podcast with me, Tasman, and this week we've got a very special guest who's here to talk about their brand new documentary. Welcome to Stacey.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good, just trying to survive this heat we're having in the States right now, but other than that, pretty good.
Good. Well, first of all, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today about your work. So just to give the listeners a bit of a background, the documentary we're going to be talking about is titled Valerie and shows the life, highs and lows of Valerie Perrine. So Superman fans will know her from, as Miss Teschmacher from the original Superman the movie films, but a lot of you may not know the journey that she's been on since then. So before we get into the ins and outs of the documentary itself, tell us a bit about your relationship with Valerie.
Valerie and I met in 2006, walking dogs. We lived in this neighborhood, and I had no idea who she was. I mean, big floppy hat, big sunglasses. That's like her signature look from the 60s and 70s. She's always had that. And, kind of ran into each other, a brief thing. And then we ran into each other, let's say maybe a week or two later. We started chatting. She's a huge dog lover. I'm a huge dog lover. And she invited me to go on the secret, she would go on the secret hike with her dog that nobody knew about. So she asked me if I wanted to go. And I was like, sure. And this is before, iPhones and the whole thing, it was like flip phones. It's that long ago. So she, and I didn't have my phone on me because I've been on a run. Anyway, she was giving me her email, and this is how long ago it was. Her email was a Hotmail address.
So I've got a Hotmail address.
Still? Oh, wow. You're hardcore. But so anyway, she's giving me that. And then I'm like, I'm really bad with names. You're going to have to tell me your name again. And she goes, do you know what IMDb is? And I'm like, yeah, I'm an actor, of course. And she goes, did you ever see the movie Lenny? I was like, well, I kind of know what it is. I never saw it. And she literally goes, did you see Superman? I was like, of course. She was like, I was Miss Teschmacher. I was like, oh, okay. I know who you are. And so anyway, we just became really fast friends from that. And like I said earlier, we've been friends for 16 years. And I'm literally, if she had a son, it would be me. We have a really close relationship.
That's lovely. But sort of tell us what she's like as a friend and as a person.
Oh, Valerie's the best. She's always been like full of life. There was nobody like Valerie. I mean, she said whatever was on her mind. She did whatever she wanted to do. Yeah. And she's always been like that. And she has that attitude of, anything's possible. Like, things don't get her down. Like, she doesn't think, like, she lives in the moment. She doesn't, whatever's happening tomorrow is going to happen. She doesn't like think about that, and I think that, that also with her Parkinson's, that's been a gift of, taking it day by day. But no, as a friend, like, she's the best. I mean, like I said, I love her. Like, she's like my mother. So she's one of the best people you could ever meet and ever know.
Yeah. Oh, good. So we'll go into the documentary a little bit, but first of all, what a great way to shed some light on the disease that she has. So Parkinson's and tremors is mentioned in the documentary, and it really sort of shows the ins and outs of her daily life and what she's been through in terms of diagnosing it and actually managing it. So tell us a bit about the illnesses that she's dealing with and what the impact it has had on her life and sort of outlook on life.
So she has Parkinson's and essential tremors. Essential tremors is what Katharine Hepburn had. So if you watch Katharine Hepburn later in life or like interviews or whatever, you'll notice she would kind of shake and her head would kind of shake a little bit. that's essential tremors. It's different than Parkinson's. It's hard to explain that they're two different types of tremors.
Okay.
But so, she, they couldn't figure out what she had years ago exactly. They were like, well, she has some of these symptoms, she has some of these symptoms, blah, blah, blah. And then finally it was, she has essential tremors and Parkinson's. So, I mean, again, in the beginning it wasn't, you're a little shaky or whatever. And then, it affects everyone a little bit differently because it's a neurological thing, and also the speed that it affects a person. But, I mean, the first time she noticed anything, she was doing a movie and she was carrying, clearing a table, like after dinner, and carrying dishes.
Yeah.
And the sound guy came up to her and he said, hey, can you, you're kind of rattling the dishes and it's messing with the sound. Can you? And then she was like, oh, that's weird. I didn't notice that. And it was kind of in her mind. And the next time she really noticed it, she was doing her makeup, because all her movies, pretty much, she always did her own makeup. That's Valerie. That's who she was. She was she was already ready. Like, she always did her makeup. Beside the point. But that was kind of the beginnings. And, as time went on, things got a little worse here and there. Again, balance and things like that. She had a surgery. It's called deep brain stimulation, DBS. And what they do is they go in, which, you saw the documentary. They go in and they probe your brain, and then they put like a little electrical probe, like in her case, it was the left side, to help the shaking on the right side.
Okay.
And they run a wire like inside, like down your neck, and then there's a battery, like kind of where your underarm meets your chest.
Yeah.
You can turn it on or turn it off. So when you sleep, it's off, and when you're awake, it's on. But anyway, that helps a lot with the tremors. So she, daily things that we don't think about when you start having those things, like eating and just anything, normal things we take for granted. But that helped, that helped a lot. But yeah, her normal day, like you saw a little bit in the doc, she, I mean, everybody that sees the movie will see it. I mean, she is bedridden, which is, that's pretty tough, especially someone so vibrant and so, just used to traveling and going around the world and doing all these amazing things. So that's a little, tough. But, all in all, she takes everything in stride, and, we just take care of things and make sure, she's as happy as she can be.
Yeah, that sort of shows in the documentary as well, because we obviously see the diagnosis and then how it sort of affects her going through there and through her daily life. But her outlook on life is just amazing, despite all the stuff that's sort of happened to her in terms of the illness and well, some other things which we'll go into a little bit in a moment. But yeah, her outlook on life is amazing. So
yeah, well, that was one of the reasons I wanted to do the documentary was, and her as well. Like, I mean, she gave, because we're so close, I could shoot whatever I wanted. She trusts me, and she wanted that part of her story to get out there, because there's so many people going through, not just Parkinson's, but all sorts of, other diseases and just challenges in life. And this, for her, it's like, this can happen to anybody. And showing that she's going through it too. Maybe that could be, and kind of the way she's dealing with it, and trying her best to have a positive outlook. Maybe that could inspire somebody else and just help them through whatever they're going through. It's all about having a positive attitude.
Definitely. And well, I didn't even know that she was dealing with this illness until we sort of spoke, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people like that, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that follow her and sort of know the ins and outs of what's been going on.
A lot of people don't so much. We haven't really put it out there a ton. I mean, it's out there some, like people, a decent amount of people know, but we were also kind of waiting till you know, this documentary came out, so that could really show, and it also shows her side of it,
Yeah.
because there's been things in the past here and there where, you know, one of those rag like gossip
Oh
magazines a
yeah.
couple of years ago was like, oh, she's dying, she's literally has days left, and you know, they always show the worst pictures, and it's like,
Yeah, of course.
where did they get this information? Like, that's happened. I've had a couple times where people are like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, Valerie passed away, and I'm like, no, what are we talking about? And it's literally,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I just saw it online, and like, Wikipedia had it once, and I had to go in and change it. Like, it's just crazy. But this is
Yeah.
like, this way, it's basically her telling the world from her point of view.
Yeah, so it's on her terms rather
On her.
than, yeah, that's good. Yeah, a lot of sort of tabloid journalism and stuff like that jump on things and exaggerate it, like saying that she had died and passed away and whatever. It's so disrespectful. It's just,
Oh, 100%, you know, and it's just, I mean, you know, people are calling, all of a sudden press is calling, you know, people that are close to her, and like,
mm,
and they're calling me, they're like, is she okay? And I'm like,
yeah, that's,
yeah, she's fine. I literally just saw her. Like, I see her several times a day. She lives 2 blocks away. I see her
yeah.
every day. I'm the last person to see her at night. I check on her, and like, so anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's stupid. So to take a bit of a step back now into sort of her life and career. So she started off as a Vegas showgirl. And
Yeah,
it,
she actually. Oh, go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
no, go carry on.
No, what I was gonna say is like, the, she was raised in Japan from the age of like 2 or 3 till 7. Her father was sent to help rebuild the Japanese economy after World War II.
Mm.
So, you know, she's this, you know, little blonde, beautiful blonde-headed child, and she becomes a Shinto dancer, which is the black wig and the white makeup and the beautiful silk robes, and you know, she would do this little dance, you know, with all the other little dancers, and at the end, she would take off the wig, shake her hair, and this long blonde hair would come down, and you know, this is, you know, the 40s. Like, they'd never seen anybody like this. And the emperor came 400 miles to see her dance, and then they paraded her around the streets of Japan. It was crazy. But then they went to Arizona, where she basically grew up, and she ran away to Vegas basically after she graduated. She didn't want to be a secretary or get married. She wanted something else, and she literally knocked on backstage doors and got a job as a showgirl. And then
Yeah.
she was there for, you know, so many years, and she was like the lead in the Lido, at the Stardust. Like, she became a pretty big, you know, a pretty well-known name there.
Yeah. And then she decided to obviously, well, it's quite a different career to being an actress. So she decided to move to Hollywood and explore that because, well, tell us about that sort of situation.
Well, she fell into that. Here's the thing: Valerie hasn't planned a lot, very much in her life. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
She had some stuff happen in Vegas, as you saw in the movie. We'll let people watch. Which when you saw that stuff, were you not like,
yeah, my mind was blown. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's always a nice little surprise for people. So when you watch it, people, you'll know what I'm talking about. So she was kind of done with Vegas. She'd been there for, you know, like 8 or 9 years or something, and she wanted to do something different. And somebody had said, you should go to Vegas, or you should go to Los Angeles. You're really beautiful. You could probably get into commercials and make some money.
Yeah.
So she came to LA. She was at a small dinner party. When I say a small dinner party, it was just like a little thing a friend was having. She was on the phone. Valerie's very, very sharp, quick-witted, funny. And there was an agent there, and he heard her on the phone. He's like, who's that girl? And they were like, oh, that's Valerie. As soon as she got off the phone, he said, Montana Wild Hack. And she's like, what? They were looking for a girl for Slaughterhouse-Five, the Kurt Vonnegut novel. They were turning it into a movie, and George Roy Hill was directing it.
Yeah.
They couldn't find the girl. And the guy was like, the agent was like, do you have a photo? Do you have a headshot? And she's like, the only photos I have are topless from Vegas. Of course, that's Valerie. So she gives him one of those. He gives it to the head of casting at Universal. All these stories are great, by the way. And she's going through, hundreds of headshots trying to find the right girl, and she's got a toothache. She goes to the dentist. She takes this stack of pictures with her so she can keep working. She comes across Valerie's topless Vegas picture, and there's a guy sitting beside her, and he's like, who the hell is that? Like, exactly. Called her in. I'll try to, I'm long with stories. I'll try to go.
That's fine.
But she went in, the person that was doing the casting session was giving all the girls bad direction because I think he was trying to get his girlfriend the job.
Okay.
So Valerie's audition was horrible. Universal said, I think Monique James, who was the head of casting, she said, oh, we destroyed your audition tape. It was so bad. But what it was, half the movie, if you've seen Slaughterhouse-Five, she's topless. The character's topless. Valerie was used to being it didn't matter to her. It was so normal. While other girls were either like kind of shy or like trying to be all pushing everything out. Valerie was just normal. And the other thing is, you were supposed to wear a bathing suit in so you could see your body. Valerie had been in the south of France for, I think, a couple of months. She didn't have a bathing suit. So she wore a piece of Vegas gear in from her showgirl days. So the breast area was cut out of them. There's a bottom, and then her boobs are still out, and she's just normal. That's what got her the job. And then literally never been on a set. The bell rings, to start the day, rings. She's like, what the fuck was that? She had no idea anything about acting, but she's a sponge. You tell her what you want and she can do it. And literally within a couple of days of working, Universal gave her like a 7-year contract. And this was the very end of the studio system days. So that was kind of the start of Valerie, the actress.
Yeah, she obviously made an impact on sort of everyone that she met, and obviously in that story and sort of throughout the documentary when you get to know some of the people that she's dealt with and friends with.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, like I said before, like there was no one like her, especially them. When you said Valerie, they were like, Valerie Perrine.
Yeah, there's only one.
There was only one. And again, she would say what was on her mind, and she was a trailblazer. She was the first woman on American television topless.
Yeah.
There was a PBS. PBS was doing this play by what's his name? Bruce J. Friedman, I think is his name. It's called Steam Bath, and it was with Bill Bixby, who you may remember, the Incredible Hulk. But there's a scene in it where she turns just enough. She's showering, and you see her breast.
Yeah.
People didn't do that. Like she's the first American topless woman, or the first woman topless on American television, or something like that.
And look at it now, like it's normal to see that now. So she's obviously set a sort of trend, or not trend, but started something off.
Yeah, no, 100%. No, she was a trailblazer in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and she's very modest about her career as well. So in the documentary, we saw her talking about the fact that she was an Oscar nominee for Lenny alongside Dustin Hoffman, and she's just brushing it off like it's a normal thing.
Oh yeah. I actually think that's one of the funny pieces in there when they're like, because they're talking about Cannes too, and they're like, oh yeah. Cannes, and she's like, an Oscar? I mean, and you're like, that's what everybody in Hollywood like. That's the top, and she's kind of like, yeah. But like I said, she just had this thing, kind of like a laissez-faire thing about her career. She just kind of, did whatever. And I mean, that's what happened with her career. Like in the 80s, she decided she wanted to travel, so she would go to live in Europe for a couple of years, and, do a little something, or move to Italy, and live in Rome for a while and, date these younger boys. She had this whole thing, but, and then she came back and it was kind of like, she said it in a interview. She was like, she comes back to Hollywood and they're kind of like, Valerie who? Because the whole, everything had changed, like a whole different regime of casting people and all that stuff had come in studios. So, it was just, she didn't take her career that serious. She took life serious. Like she has no regrets. I've asked her several times and she doesn't regret anything. I'm like, do you wish you would have done this with you? She's like, no, I got to live life. That's what was most important to me.
Yeah, that's how to do it, isn't it? Well, of course, this is a Superman themed podcast, so obviously we're going to talk about the role as Miss Teschmacher in Superman the movie alongside Christopher Reeve. So, like some of the people you interviewed for the in the documentary, that was my first introduction to Valerie, and I'm sure a lot of people listening will probably have the same sort of experience with her. But even though she's a villain in this role, you really see her personality shine through. So she's funny, she's witty, she's lovable, despite the fact that she is a villain, I guess. But how did that job come about for her?
They offered it to her. She didn't have to audition or anything. They literally, I think they wanted Anne Margaret or somebody to begin with, and that didn't work out. And Valerie, I guess, was like their next choice. And so it just happened that way. Like she didn't have to, it was an offer.
Yeah. How did she feel about being part of such an iconic sort of character's history? I mean, at the time, it probably wasn't as big as it is now, but looking back, what's it like for her?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think, she loved doing the movie and, it's her and, she got to work with Gene Hackman, who's one of the greatest actors ever, and late Ned Beatty, who, he's amazing in the movie. I mean, anybody that doesn't that just watches the movie and just sees him as a character to really you see what he brought to that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. But no, she's proud of that. One of her friends, she told me this after I first met her. She goes, I always thought, I'd be remembered for Lenny, because she was nominated for an Oscar. She won Cannes, she won the BAFTA. That made her a movie star.
Yeah.
A little ways after Superman came out, one of her dear friends, and I'm not sure who it was, said, no, on your tombstone, it's going to say Miss Teschmacher. So, but no, she's cool with it. I mean, people, when she used to do some of the signings or whatever, people all of a sudden Miss they try to do the whole thing and all that, but they, people love that. And again, I think it's because she was a villain, but she's like the villain with a heart of gold. Yeah. She's really not that bad. You just think, oh, she got in with the wrong guy. Yeah. She liked the bad boys. But no, she loved the movie and she was very proud of it. And, amazing stories. I mean, come on, Richard Donner, now the late Richard Donner. I mean, they were good friends during all that. We have photos of her. There was a thing called Club S, because when they were shooting in Canada, they had to take they had Winnebagos that would take them to set or whatever from the hotel. And it was a bit of a drive, and they had fun in these drives in Winnebagos, and they called it Club S. And Richard Donner was there, and Larry Hagman, he was literally in that movie for a second, but he was in Canada for weeks or something because of the rains and all that stuff. No, she had a really good time doing the film, and loved Richard Donner. I mean, he's an icon. Even then he was already an icon. He made Superman what Superman became.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you have any other stories that she's told you about the film, or working with the cast and the director and things like that?
Yeah, about Superman.
Yeah.
Or let's see. Oh, well, here's one she would tell, two things. Here's a Gene Hackman thing. Hackman's very serious. He knows his lines, he knows everybody's lines. He's that actor.
Yeah.
He just brings so much to it. But one day, you know, somebody's birthday, and he had the bald cap on apparently, and all of a sudden he pops out and he's got a big candle on top of his head. He comes out, I believe he's singing happy birthday to whoever's birthday it was, which isn't a Gene Hackman thing normally, but like that's one that's a good story of hers. You know, she didn't, you know, her and Christopher Reeve, they didn't have a ton of stuff together. But she, you know, she always talked about, you know, this was his big break and he took it very seriously. You know, it wasn't some silly comic book thing to him. You know, he was a very serious actor, and like he, you know, he put everything he had into the role, and it shows. He, you know, he created Clark Kent. I mean, that was him, you know, and two separate characters, but you know, like that whole thing, like he was, you know, she had amazing things to say about him, and but yeah, all in all, you know, she loved it. She thought it was a great experience. And it's funny because I asked her after I met her, I'm like, oh, so like she didn't, this is 16 years ago. And the Richard Donner cut had just come out.
Oh yeah.
She was like, what are you talking about? I was like, well, you know, there's two different movies. She's like, I don't know. She's like, I only shot with Richard Donner because they shot 1 and 2 together. And she's like, everything I shot was with him. I don't know anything about this other version of, you know, the Richard Lester version.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have no idea if she saw it. I have no idea, but yeah, I had to explain to her like, no, there's this whole other thing. Because I mean, again, she shot everything at one time, you know.
Yeah, that's mad that the people sort of involved didn't realize that there was these two different cuts. And I guess it's the same kind of thing with the Snyder cut, because I know there were a few people involved in that didn't know there was a new version or extended version coming out. So that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy, huh?
Yeah.
It was like 4 hours. I watched that. I had my I've been vaccinated. I had my second shot. So I was, oh, perfect. It's coming out tomorrow. And that's when I'm probably going to feel icky. So I really sat on the couch for those 4 hours, and it was the best thing ever. I got to watch that, and just, you know, it took my mind off of everything else.
Yeah, that's a good time to watch it. After sort of exploring her career highs, the documentary then gets sort of a bit darker in tone. Not darker, but a bit more sad, if you will. We sort of see her going through her decline in health, and it's showing sort of a day in the life of her dealing with the illness, in terms of like, it shows her putting her makeup on, like you said, and trying to eat and things like that, which, yeah, sometimes it's a little bit hard to watch, I'll admit, but it's all part of the impact that the documentary has. So yeah, you've made it very well, because you do get that impact, and yeah, it sheds an important light on this illness.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Actually, that's the first stuff I shot. The thing where she's doing the makeup.
Yeah.
That literally was the first thing I shot. And you know, that's before she has this surgery, which you see a little bit of the surgery stuff. But no, it's very, again, you know, it's very raw and candid, and you know, she was okay with showing all that, because again, a lot of celebrities, you know, they get sick or whatever, they just kind of, you just don't hear anything about them until all of a sudden they pass away or something. Then it's like, oh, you know, they were fighting whatever for years. But you know, again, Valerie was cool with showing this, and showing, you know, when we started, you know, we didn't know there was going to be a decline like there was, you know. So it was just, I was just shooting and doing interviews and all that stuff. And then, you know, literally I started shooting in January 2014. Oh, wow. So the movie, between then and now, you know, finally, you know, we're putting it out, you know, 7 years.
Yeah.
So a lot, happened in that time. But yeah, no, I mean, it can be a little, it can pull some heartstrings, and, it can be a little sad, but again, showing that day in the life, and again, I think the big thing is just that positive attitude.
Yeah,
She never complains, and
exactly.
that's real,
Yeah,
from that's in real life. She's not ever like, woe is me, or I can't believe this happened, or I wish this, or I mean, I'm sure there little thing, I'm sure she
yeah.
wished she was better, but she never complains about any of it,
She
which is,
takes it all in.
yeah, that's just something that, again, it's a positive attitude. It's just something that makes you want to, whatever's going on in your life, you you know, oh, I'm having a bad day or whatever. It's like, think of somebody like that
Yeah.
really has something going on that they could complain about and they're not. And then, it makes you, look at the world through a different set of glasses,
Yeah, it puts it into perspective, doesn't it? So not to get too personal, but for you as her friend and as a close friend, what was it like for you to sort of film that and share that? Well, you obviously haven't released it yet, but what's it like for you willing to share that to the world?
Um, well, it's weird because doing, again, like I said, it was like, basically like 7 years of shooting. It wasn't every day. It's on
Yeah,
and off and everything. But, I've got all that decline on film. I've got, I've, let's see, I've got all the decline, but then I have all these other moments too. So one day when, I hate to say this, one day when Valerie isn't here,
mm,
I have all these things that I can always go back and look at. And then, it'll, I'll have that connection with her always.
yeah,
I can go back and look at like a whole movie for somebody. Um, but again, like, I literally scanned like 1,600 like photos and clippings from newspapers and magazines, all that stuff, and I did it all at her house.
yeah,
Over how long it took me. So I would be in there working, and I literally went through every folder, all of our archives. You couldn't ask for a better person to do a documentary on, because she's kept tons of things. Like literally, there's like 8 folders of Lenny. It's a Lenny this, Lenny London, Lenny blah blah blah, Lenny this, Superman here, whatever, and photos. So going through all that, but I would go through things and then I would hit certain things. I'll be like, oh, I wonder what this is from.
mm,
So here I am looking at her in her prime, most beautiful woman in the world, just movie star, all these things. And then I would go into the other room, and then, this would have been like 3 or 4 years ago,
yeah,
going in the other room, and, it's the same person, but she's battling a disease now, and, she's in her 70s, it's the spark is still there, but, it was hard to do that, like going from one room this vibrant and like just
yeah,
all to the next room, and she's she's battling some things, and she's not the vibrant youthful person that I just left the other room.
yeah,
So I mean, it's a little tough, but I mean, it's like that, I think, with anybody, that a family member or a friend that does go through anything like that. I mean, it's tough to see them, but I will say this to anybody listening: if you do have anybody in your family or friends or anybody like that that is going through something, and it is hard to see them like that, or whatever, visit them,
yeah,
even if it's for 5 minutes. Just go in and eat. If you're gonna cry or whatever, do it afterwards, but it just to keep that connection and keep
be
keep
there.
be there for them. Because I have to say, like, a lot of people, um a lot of people don't come around,
Mm,
once, especially if a disease is a longer going thing. Like, a lot of times people kind of fall
yeah,
away, you know, and you have like a core group of people, because some people, it's hard for them to see somebody when they're struggling.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing, and I learned from the first time I did that, and then now I'm like you. I make sure that I'm there, regardless of what I think.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's huge, and I think, you know, it's you can't think about yourself. You have to think about the other person. That's the whole thing. And believe me, like I said, I mean, I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but you know, I see Valerie several times. I'm the last person, like I said, I see her at night.
Yeah.
Check on her, make sure everything's cool, and you know, do whatever has to be done, and then, you know, there we are.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, that's because I love her, you know.
Yeah. How long did the sort of diagnosis take? Because we only sort of see, but it's quite a short documentary. Is it 35, 36 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, 36 minutes. It was going to be a feature. And then what happened was, because I had tons of footage and interviews, and I mean, you know, a few people that interviewed passed away while we were shooting.
Really?
Like Dick Van Patten was you see him in archival footage, but I'd shot him. He passed away. There's an actor named Alex Rocco. If you ever saw The Godfather, he was Mo Green. Like if you saw him, you'd know who he is. But like a few people like passed away while, you know, after I shot him. But we decided to make it a short because I just thought maybe if it was a feature length, it might be a little thin. You know what I'm saying? So I thought as a short piece, it would be more impactful and just a stronger just a stronger piece in general.
Yeah.
So that's why we ended up doing it like that. Sorry, what was your question? I went off on a tangent.
That's all right. It was sort of, how long did the diagnosis for a take? Because we only see a kind of a snippet of that in the documentary.
Yeah. Like I said, they were still trying to figure it out kind of when we started shooting. I mean, they knew she had essential tremors, but again, didn't quite. And she went to doctors here, doctors in New York, and she has an amazing neurologist here now, which you see in the documentary. And but you know, I'd say from then to, you know, her being bedridden. I mean, I hate to say that, but I would say from it was probably like 3 years or so, something like that.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, three or 4 years. So yeah, I mean, it, you know, again, different people, I think those things affect them different ways. I mean, Michael J. Fox has had Parkinson's for 30 years or something. And you know, some people, it's a slower progression. It just hits everybody a little differently.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were talking about the interviews that you did. There's some incredible people involved. There's loads of people involved. Just to name a few, you've got Jeff Bridges, David Arquette, Sarah Douglas, the late Richard Donner, Andrea Brooks, who plays Miss Teschmacher in Supergirl, and a lot of Valerie's sort of personal friends. But how did you sort of go about getting those people involved in the documentary?
Well, I'll start off with David. David's a friend, like his wife, Christina Arquette, her mother and her aunt are Valerie's best friends. So Valerie's known Christina like since she was born. And when Christina and David got together, I don't know, like 10 years ago, you know, they're like family, you know, we just became very close with them. That's why David and Christina are executive producers on the film. But David he was a lover of Valerie. I mean, he loves Can't Stop the Music, you know, that great movie. But David was easy because, you know, he's a friend, and so he was an easy person to get. And like, again, him and Christina are part of it. Richard Donner, the great Richard Donner, again, he was easy pretty much because, do you know Jim Bowers, Caped Wonder?
Yeah.
Old guy. Well, Jim's one of the sweetest, nicest guys ever. I got to know him Valerie and I did a little signing that they'd all put together as a big Superman thing, probably like 6 years ago. And he was just a super nice guy. And I told him what I was doing, and I was actually doing some filming at the thing. None of that made it into the finished piece. But I was like, oh, I'm trying to get, and he was like, oh, I know Donner. I can help you. So I think he just reached out, and then he was like, yeah, he'll do it. And so that's how I got Donner. George Hamilton, like, he's a friend of Valerie's. He was easy. Angie Dickinson. I mean, she's a friend of Valerie's. I mean, it's kind of crazy because I met her at a funeral of Dean Martin's widow, Jeannie Martin. Jeannie was another one of my dear friends. She was like another mother to me. So I met her at this thing, and we were talking about Valerie. And I was like, hey, would you want to? And she's like, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Let me think who else is in it. Hold on. Sure. I have my cheat sheet with me. Everybody. Sarah Douglas. Come on. And all you Superman fans. I mean, Sarah's one of the most beautiful, amazing, funny people you've ever met. I don't know if she's ever been on your podcast.
One day, I hope.
Well, you put it out there to her. She's great, and she's always been a big supporter of Valerie. Like, she's amazing. Andrea Brooks.
Yeah.
Supergirl's Miss Teschmacher. Okay. I was doing a crowdfunding thing. It was Kickstarter, and it had just ended, I think. And all of a sudden, I get these messages on, like, through that and like my social media saying, hi, my name's Andrea Brooks.
So she got in touch with you to be in.
Yeah, she got in touch with me, and she literally was like, hey, I came across your thing. This sounds crazy. This is who I am. Here's my IMDb. I'm the new Miss Teschmacher on Supergirl. I'm a huge fan of Valerie, or whatever. She went through all that. She's like, I'd like to help any way I can. I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this girl is amazing, right? And so I reached out to her, one of the sweetest, nicest people you could ever meet. And like, she did it, and we were going to try to do something, like maybe on the Supergirl set, like if I could interview her there, but those guys, they don't let anything happen on the sets.
I can imagine.
They're tight. But she was in LA for something, and I shot her. I shot her at David's house. That's what that amazing painting is. She has, I think, probably the best backdrop of anybody.
Yeah, she definitely does.
I was like, yeah, let me use this. And then she, after that, she got, I took her to meet Valerie.
Yeah.
And, they hit it off, and like, she, Valerie loves her, and, it was a literally like a passing of the torch.
Yeah.
And, she made that character her own.
Yeah.
But she's the only other person that's ever played the character.
You can also see her sort of influence, like Valerie's influence on her portrayal of the character as well. So it's kind of, she's like brought it out a little bit more.
Oh yeah, no, she's great. And Valerie gave her like a few I think she might have given her a few bracelets. I know she gave her one. She gave her some stuff.
Yeah.
And she wore it in one of the episodes.
Oh,
she
no.
Stuck it in like her own little, little like, a little thing to, Valerie as Miss Teschmacher. And actually, I guess before she contacted me, I guess Kevin Smith had directed Supergirl.
Yeah. And
as soon as she walked on the set, Andrea, he was like, did the whole Miss Teschmacher and thing, and it was just like, apparently he's a huge lover of the character. He's Superman, of course, but of the character. I was trying to get him. He said he would do it, and through the channels I was going through, I didn't ever work out. So I'll get him to at least have a look at it, because I know he's a fan.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's a very busy guy, but he is also, I don't know, he speaks out to everyone on social media as well, which is quite nice.
Oh, yeah. I literally last Sunday I passed him hiking in Runyon Canyon.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he was all posting. He's like, oh, I'm gonna be, I'm hiking Runyon Canyon every day.
Yeah.
I literally walked past him and I was like,
should I ask him?
Like, he's doing this thing and be like, oh, hey, remember me? I'm doing it. So I didn't do any of that. But yeah, like Jeff Bridges, I mean, come on, the great Jeff Bridges. Yeah. Like he was nice enough to do an interview. That one happened pretty easy. I don't want to say how, because I don't want everybody else reaching out to Jeff.
Okay. That's fine.
But that one happened pretty easy, and he was very nice and gracious. Stacy Keach, they had done something together a few years ago, and I just reached out to. I had his email, reached out. He did a quick little thing. Lonnie Anderson, I reached out to her. Like, she did something. Like, her thing, I think, is just so great in that second half. Where Valerie's, with the Parkinson stuff is coming up. She's great. Howard Hessman, the great Howard Hessman, he's a friend. Yeah, I know. I mean, I was lucky. I mean, there's some people that I tried to get that I didn't get. Some other big, like I tried to get Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Like, I went through everything. I don't even know if he ever knew that I even tried to contact him. Like, I tried his production company, like, oh, you have to try his PR, and then
I can imagine it's a bit of a nightmare with things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hardest part. Like, I hated having to reach out to get people, Yeah. I mean, some of it was really easy, but again, I was like, oh, I gotta make those phone calls. Because it's just, it wasn't about rejection. It was just the act of, all right, I have to call and I got to explain like who she is or what they did or how they know each other, and all those kind of things. But
yeah, and then getting passed between company and company is probably stressful as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little like, and again, there were a few people that said they would do it. Oh, I'll do it. Oh, but I'm doing this right now. I'm shooting. Call me back in a month. And then at the, after like a couple of months or so, 3 months, I'm like, oh, hey, are you still? And they're like, I don't really know her that well. I don't really have anything to say. And I was like, why didn't you just say that to me? I wasn't, like, not hounded, but I wouldn't have gone through all this trouble with you. Also like, just bothering you.
Yeah.
But no, I think everybody I got was great, and I think they add a lot. I mean, her brother's in it, which is kind of crazy, because he's a neuropsychologist, and he she actually put him through medical school because that was her movie star days. And the irony is, like, then she has a neurological disease, and so he knows about that stuff. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Going back to sort of Andrea Brooks, how did Valerie see her take on the character, and if she did, what did she think?
Yeah, she did see. She's watched Supergirl. She loved what Andrea did. Again, because it was a passing of the torch. I mean, I think it's good that character didn't really pop up again in anything for so long. Because again, it was such a just Valerie did it so well.
Yeah.
And
big shoes to fill.
Yeah, and without Lex, it's kind of weird or whatever, I think. And the way that they did it was really cool. How whatever, and then all of a sudden Lex pops up and, come on, can we talk about John? Good Lord. That's besides oh geez, now I'm blinking. Besides Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
John's like that's her next favorite Lex Luthor. I
He
mean,
is a great Lex Luthor.
what he brought is just him again, made it his own thing, and you just don't think of him as such a bad guy. But I think he's the like the like the best Lex Luthor there's been. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of like Rosenbaum and all that stuff, but to me and to Valerie too, I mean, she actually did love Smallville. I think she watched she actually had it, so I know she watched all the seasons in the day. But no, she loved what Andrea did with the part, and again, she, it was kind of nice that this little friendship developed. Andrea's a great supporter of Valerie. I mean, she did a whole, not a whole, but she did an interview, and it was the tale of two Teschmachers. I don't know if you saw that, but
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was a written thing, but she just gives Valerie like this really nice praise, and just such a she has a heart of gold, that girl.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet.
Did I answer the question? I tend to start.
No, that was the question. But they kind of tried to do that whole relationship between Lex Luthor and, I think in Superman Returns, the woman's name who was supposed to be the Teschmacher sort of character was, I think it was, I'm blanking now, I think it was Kitty or something like that, but it just didn't have the same vibe. It didn't sort of work, but obviously
it's weird when it's like, actually, we posted something because it was funny, because I saw this because I'm looking for all this like Superman stuff, but in Superman 3, the guy's kind of like a Lex Luthor, the bad guy.
Yeah.
And then like his person, you're like, wait a minute, because there's a thing of her in like the Statue of Liberty when Superman's kind of the bad Superman, and literally,
I saw what you posted actually.
yeah, and it's like, wait a minute, But I think it was like we'll try to do a one-off Miss Teschmacher, but yeah, no, yeah, I'm waiting to see more like, well, I guess when all these Comic-Cons and things happen, I never see anybody as in the red dress and the blonde wig, like, or anybody Miss Teschmachering it up. Like, I want to see that.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, you see all sorts of people sort of dressed up, but I guess it's probably hard to, if you see someone dressed like that at a Comic-Con, it's hard to pinpoint who they are, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's very specific to like the first movie, the red dress and blonde wig and the tool belt, or but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So sort of to wrap this up a little bit, but how's Valerie doing now? How is she now?
She's good. I mean, again, it's a degenerative disease, so I mean, but she's hanging in there. Like I said, we go through things, and I help her with all this social media stuff, and just trying to, take it day by day, but no, I mean, she's pretty good. I mean, she's also, birthday's in 2 months. She's about to be 78. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But no, she's good. Like, we've been doing, like, we'll do, I started doing a movie night once a week with her.
Oh, nice.
And last time we watched The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, good.
Which was pretty good.
Yeah.
And we watched Can't Stop the Music a couple of weeks ago. It was on Blu-ray, and I was like, I've seen this. I was like, I don't know. I was like, oh, this actually is. It's not too bad now. It's got campiness. I was like, they did a good job. It transports you back to 1980. It's kind of fun. But no, I mean, she's good. I mean, as well as can be expected. But she's got a positive attitude. And I mean, that means a lot, I mean, that really helps you get through the days.
Yeah, definitely. Now, obviously, I'm lucky enough to have seen the documentary already, of course, but first of all, where can the listeners find you and Valerie on social media?
Social media. All right. Look, here's my cheat sheet.
I'll put the links in the description as well, so they don't have to.
Yeah, and I can actually send you, and that way you'll know exactly what they all are. Okay. Twitter, it's the Val Perrine. So because it had to be short, I guess somebody else may have already been Valerie Perrine. But yeah, Twitter, it's at the Val Perrine. Instagram, it's Valerie Perrine Official. TikTok, it's the Valerie Perrine. TikTok a little new because, you know, everybody's doing their things. We usually just post stuff of, you know, other stuff of her, not her dancing, you know, at this point. Facebook, you can look at Valerie Perrine, and there's also a Valerie Perrine fan page, which is a little easier because, you know, you can have as many followers or whatever on that.
Yeah.
The Facebook page is almost full, the regular one, and I had another one, and I think I posted, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was like something from Lenny.
Yeah.
And they froze that her second account, and we did everything that they asked to do, and it's still under they're looking at it, which I don't know, it may end up they may shut it. There's like 2 weeks left, and then if it shuts down, I'll have to start another one. But yeah, so Facebook Valerie Perrine or Valerie Perrine fan page. Me, I mean, if anybody cares about me, I'm Stacey Souther. So pretty much Instagram's my big one. I mean, I'm on Twitter, but I don't really do my account much. But again, you can find me there. Maybe it'll blow up, and I'll start posting some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But Stacey Souther, I'll give you those links. And for the movie, we're gonna release it. Well, when are you gonna do this? Is this gonna come out like afterwards?
Well, it's whenever you want me to put it out.
Yeah, you can do it. Maybe if you do it like once it's released.
Yeah.
That way it'll make more sense. I don't want people trying to find it like, oh, where's this at?
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I'm blabbering again.
No, it's okay.
So to find the movie, it's going to be on demand on Vimeo. That's our the first thing we're releasing it on, just because of, you know, so many fans have known about it for so long, and we really want to get it out there to the fans, and also, you know, to share a story, but also, you know, I don't like to say this, you know, Valerie is older and she is going through something. I want, you know, her to enjoy whatever, you know, people, you know, whatever the reaction from the fans and everybody else that sees it. You know, I think, you know, it's been a long time in the making, and, you know, those things make you feel good when people are saying nice things. Yeah. So we're doing it Vimeo on demand first, and there will be links in all of our social medias. And if you go to valeriemovie.com, there'll be a link there that'll take you there. And like I said, I'm going to be posting stuff, so you'll see there'll be links like in all of her social media, however I put it in the bio or whatever. Okay. And another thing I just want to throw out there, there's a GoFundMe set up for Valerie, and that helps with her, you know, her medical care and whatnot. So that, if you go to GoFundMe, you can put in Valerie Perrine, or same thing, Valerie Movie will have a link to the GoFundMe, and hopefully, I think I should be able to do this once I have the link for the Vimeo for the actual movie. I'm going to do one of those link trees or whatever it's called. Oh, yeah. So everything will be in one thing. So if you click on something in her bio, it should give you all the links to like the film and the GoFundMe and all that. And yeah, so I mean, every little bit helps, you know, and just you know, having being sick's not cheap. So you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we'll put the links and stuff in the description to all of the things as well. So if people are listening and haven't heard of it before, you could just easily go through and find it. But yeah, on a serious note to all the listeners, it is really worth a watch. I feel like I got to know Valerie much more beyond her role in the Superman films, which is what I knew her from. And like we said, yeah, it features great interviews with iconic people: Richard Donner, Sarah Douglas, Andrea Brooks. It sheds a light on the disease that she's going through, and yeah, her incredible outlook on life.
Yeah, I think you pretty much wrapped it all up. That's it.
Good. Well, I won't take up any of your can't speak now. I won't take up any of your time, but thank you again for chatting with me today about the documentary. Be sure to send Valerie my love, and I'm sure the listeners will say the same, so make sure you do that. And to you listeners, huge thank you for taking the time to listen to this. I know it was a bit of a change compared to our previous episodes and usual lineup, but it's something that I wanted to shed a light on. Obviously, it's important to Stacey and to Valerie as well. And a very quick shout out to Dave Owen, who is a very proud member of the House of Al for our Patreon. Dave, again, thank you so much for supporting us and this podcast. If you guys are interested in joining him, I've put a link to more details in the description of this episode. So yeah, thank you, Stacey, for taking the time, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And if you get a chance to watch the documentary, yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll share the information on how to watch when it's released. And I'll see you next time for episode 15.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this episode and previous episodes in the podcast if you have done so. Remember, if you're enjoying the show so far, please do subscribe, share the podcast with a friend, and most importantly, leave us a review. It's those reviews that really help with our visibility and success, and it only takes you a few moments to leave one. As well as that, if you want to find out more about us, head over to our website www.theaspiringkryptonian.com, and if you want to follow us individually on social media, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube, so I'll drop those links in the episode description so you can get to know us a little bit better. A very quick shout out to some other very good Superman related podcasts and accounts that we love: The Last Sons of Krypton podcast, the Krypton Report podcast, and Adam Talking Superman over on Twitter. They have some really great Superman-centric discussions and are always dropping great Superman knowledge, so if you are looking for something similar to our show and our account, please be sure to check them out.